Hey everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Six-Path Weeb, and today we're diving deep into a fascinating what-if scenario that blends the worlds of Naruto and isekai storytelling. Our topic for today is, what if sealing Kaguya transported Naruko to another world? Part 2. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer, the content on this channel is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that out of the way, let's get into it and explore the possibilities, implications, and adventures that could unfold when the worlds collide. When the sun rose, it painted the world in a warm, golden glow. A gentle breeze ruffled Naruko's bright hair as she stood outside, watching the sun climb above the horizon. Beside her, a tired and slightly grumpy Shishi sighed, trying to keep her composure. Despite her irritation, Shishi couldn't help but feel a little calmer seeing Naruko's cheerful smile. "You know, you don't have to follow me everywhere, right?" Naruko asked, glancing back with a grin. "I'm not going anywhere." Article 21D, subsection 2, Shishi replied firmly, "A representative must not stray more than 100 yards from their handler without a written letter from the coordinator. It states that the representative must be able to manage on their own." Naruko opened her mouth to argue but thought better of it. If following the rules made Shishi happy, she could certainly do that. She leaned on the old wooden fence and looked out over the farm, proud of how far she had come. The house looked fine from the outside, but inside, only Kaguya's room had been completed. Even that had not quite met Kaguya's lofty standards. Shishi had been given a room that had repaired walls and floors, but it was still bare. Naruko had slept in the kitchen, the only other room that kept warm. She felt a little guilty about Shishi's empty room and decided that her first task would be to make it cozy, even if she didn't plan to stay long. Right then, Naruko exclaimed suddenly, her eyes sparkling. "Time to get to work." "Work?" Shishi asked. "Yes." Naruko waved her hands toward the farm. "This place isn't going to run itself. I'm going to turn it into a real farm. With chickens and rice? And lots of other things to help us get food." She paused and scratched her head. "I haven't actually done this before, but don't worry. I have a trick to learn anything fast." "Oh?" Shishi raised an eyebrow. "See?" Naruko smirked as she summoned a cage bunshine. "Anything these guys learn comes back to me when they disappear. It's like magic learning." Shishi tilted her head thoughtfully. "May I ask something?" "You don't need permission to ask me a question," Naruko replied with a grin. "Just go ahead." In accordance with Article 21E, Shishi said, hiding a smile, "Are you really human?" "Yup." Naruko nodded proudly. "But you can do such amazing things," Shishi murmured. "None of this was explained in the documents I've read about humans." "Well," Naruko glanced over Shishi's shoulder and tried not to laugh, "I guess you could say I'm a little special." "Good morning, Kaguya-chan. Did you sleep well?" "That is Kaguya-sama to you," Kaguya corrected, frowning at Naruko's huge grin. "Is something amusing?" "Nothing at all," Naruko replied innocently, turning her attention to the land. "I was just thinking about all the work it'll take to make this farm perfect." "You should find this task easy, considering you call yourself my servant," Kaguya remarked. "I don't call myself that," Naruko said plainly. "He is our handler, and as per Article 21D, should be treated with respect," Shishi added, then froze as she met Kaguya's sharp gaze. "I see you are still here," Kaguya said. "I care little for your laws, vulgar spider." Shishi quickly looked down, avoiding Kaguya's eyes. "See, this one understands," Kaguya said with a smirk. "She knows that one such as herself does not have the divine right to meet my gaze." Shishi muttered, "Sure," reminding herself not to laugh. "Well, your face is quite a sight." Naruko nodded cheerfully. "What are you planning?" Kaguya asked suspiciously. "Your words sound true, but I feel there is more behind them." "Oh, nothing," Naruko whistled innocently. "By the way, you haven't washed your face yet, have you?" "No," Kaguya replied with a huff. "I used to have servants for that, but I prefer not to have your rough hands touching my delicate skin." "Then you can wash it in the lake," Naruko suggested, pointing to the nearby water. "A servant does not command their master," Kaguya declared, storming off toward the water. Shishi glanced at Naruko. He, Naruko whispered to herself, trying not to laugh. "You insolent servant," Kaguya shouted, trying to wash her face while looking absolutely ridiculous in her bunny face paint. From the depths of Naruko's mind, Kurama chuckled. "I was wrong. This is funny. Naruko doubled over laughing, while Kaguya splashed water furiously. Where did you even get that paint? Oh, I found it in the barn, Naruko explained between giggles. And when my clones found it, we knew it had to happen. Ouch. She yelped as a small bunny nibbled her shin, and realized she was now surrounded by dozens of curious rabbits. Fine, fine. I'll help you. Just then, a strange ringing sound came from Naruko's pocket. The phone, Shishi said. Flip it open and it should answer automatically. Oh, right. Naruko opened it. Hello? Hi there, Ms. Smith's tired voice came through. I forgot to go over some details. I'll be at the property in half an hour. Have you had breakfast or coffee yet? We don't have anything here yet, Naruko admitted. Don't worry, Ms. Smith said. I'll bring food and some helpers to make sure everything is ready. You've met Shishi, right? Yes, Naruko said. For a moment, I thought you didn't get my text. Ms. Smith laughed. By the way, if you want, you can thank me by cooking a meal. Naruko sighed. I have a feeling this won't be the last time she asks that. Don't be so grumpy, she thought. She's helping us get settled, and it's not like we're staying forever. And so, with laughter, rabbits, and plans for a new farm, Naruko's morning began, full of mischief, learning, and the gentle promise of friendship. It's not recklessness if you know it won't hurt you, Naruko said proudly, carefully stitching a small tear in her bright orange jacket. She wore the standard outfit of the Moan Squad, though her top was patched in a rainbow of fabrics, showing the adventures she'd survived. Some of the patches glimmered with a mysterious, sparkly goo that didn't smell like anything unpleasant. The other members of Moan Squad sighed in unison. But Naruko, Minako, the squad's thoughtful sniper Manai, frowned. You don't heal like the rest of us. It was only a training stick, Naruko grinned, twirling a wooden practice sword in her hands. It went through your coat like a breeze, Doppel, the squad's quiet strategist, said, balancing comfortably on a stack of pillows. Clearly, it was trickier than expected. Bullet holes are simple, but this rip could have been tough to fix. You were lucky it stitched at all, Minako added, her voice a mixture of worry and admiration. Naruko's mismatched eyes twinkled mischievously. She was a clever opponent. I love a challenge. Minako muttered under her breath, she always focuses on the fun part. Meh, Naruko waved off the concern. Hey, where's Tio? Ms. Smith sent her on a mission, Doppel shrugged. Probably helping with some visitor duties. Naruko's face fell slightly. Once again, I get stuck cleaning up when the exciting stuff happens. Tio gets all the fun parts. I wasn't even called for the big incident last week. Ah, Minako nodded softly. With the human and the glowing visitor. From what I heard, the visitor had glowing hands. That was the human, Doppel corrected. How do you know? Naruko asked, leaning forward with curiosity. I was there, Doppel said casually. Ga? Did everyone get to have the fun except me? Naruko huffed. There really wasn't much danger after the human, well, visitor, started glowing and gently lifted people up, Doppel explained, her form shifting into a sparkling golden version of Naruko herself. Say what? Naruko's eyes widened. I could never do that. Did they use it to fight? Not really, Doppel returned to her usual self. She just floated everyone up, then calmly surrendered. Oh? Naruko blinked, a little disappointed. I guess I didn't miss too much. Unless you're joking? Why would I? To make me feel better. There was probably a big, exciting chase, right? Naruko asked hopefully. Minako shooting targets everywhere, Tio flipping a cart. No carts were flipped, Doppel interrupted, smiling. No one got shot at either, Minako added. Naruko's eyes sparkled even more. I bet it looked like a magical adventure. Everyone flying and glowing. You could read the mission report, Doppel suggested. I think she's strange, Minako said softly, but not in a bad way. She's special. Really? Naruko tilted her head, curious. Yes, Minako smiled. She could even see me from far away and point me out without missing a beat. Naruko's head swiveled like a cartoon owl. That's amazing. What a sight. Interesting things are happening, Doppel smirked. Have you read the report? Why would I? Naruko pouted. I'd rather have adventures than read papers. It was a big pileup, Minako explained. But luckily, everyone was safe. That's why the human and visitor could be gently escorted home without trouble. Stop mentioning it. Naruko groaned, laughing. But you asked, Doppel teased. It's fun to know these things if you can get a hold of the mission report. How did you get it? Naruko asked, eyes wide. Doppel shifted into Ms. Smith's form, complete with a serious expression. Humans are easy to surprise, she said. Then she returned to her normal self. Turns out, the visitor isn't exactly a human either. Then, what is she? Naruko asked. Who knows? Doppel shrugged. For now, she's just wonderfully mysterious. And if trouble comes, I'm sure Miss Smith has a plan. Back at Naruko's house, Naruko and Kaguya exchanged curious glances before turning their attention to their guest. Shishi quietly excused herself, retreating to her room after Miss Smith's unexpected judgment. Miss Smith didn't seem bothered by Shishi's mood. Not bad, Miss Smith said with a nod of approval. Thanks, Naruko said, scratching the back of her head. I'm not much of a cook. The best meals are free meals, Miss Smith replied, sipping coffee. Kaguya frowned. May I ask why you're here? It's my job, Miss Smith smiled. I help make places like this feel organized and welcoming. Naruko, did most of the heavy lifting, so the specialists could finish the rest easily. And your job exactly? Naruko asked, summoning a few playful clones to tidy up the mess. I am the cultural exchange coordinator, Miss Smith explained. I make sure everyone, visitors, residents, and handlers, gets along smoothly. But didn't you ignore Vulgar Spider just now? Kaguya asked, raising an eyebrow. I could have found her a new handler, Miss Smith admitted, but it's easier to let her stay. She's perfectly safe here. So, you don't really want to do your job, Naruko teased. She'll learn to enjoy it, Miss Smith said with a knowing smile. After all, isn't that part of her dream? Dream? Naruko tilted her head, curious. Oh, she hasn't told you yet? Miss Smith said, brushing crumbs off her outfit. Let's just say, there's plenty of fun to be had today. Well, for your information, I am not only your local coordinator but also the liaison for the Moan Squad, Moan being short for Monster Ops, Neutralization, she added, noticing the blank look on Kaguya and Naruko's faces. Due to the rules of the exchange bill, humans and liminals cannot harm one another without breaking the law. Some would try, though, and while the police can arrest humans, they cannot touch liminals. That's why Monster Ops exists, a team of liminals who can do what the police cannot. Oh, so you're kind of like a Chonin. Or maybe even a Jounin? A team leader type? Naruko tilted her head, her bright eyes curious. Yes, Miss Smith nodded. In fact, you've already met some of my team. Oh, that giant in armor. Naruko grinned, glancing at Kaguya. That uncultured oaf dared to manhandle me. The rabbit goddess huffed, gnawing on a carrot. I'll bet he is an uncouth barbarian who doesn't understand the first thing about being a lady. You'd be surprised, Smith thought to herself. And the one-eyed girl, was she part of your team too? Naruko asked with a playful smile at Kaguya's antics. Indeed. She was a Mon-I, Smith said thoughtfully. I suppose I should make sure you're familiar with the different species. I'll send some books later, she added dismissively. Naruko chuckled. I think Shishi should be more worried about you not being fit for your job than me as a trainee. I'll have you know I'm extremely busy with important things, Smith said, shaking her head. Those things are probably just finding clever ways to avoid work, Naruko teased. Says you, one of the cage bunshine cleaning the kitchen muttered. Those clones are copies of you, right? Kaguya glanced at the muttering clone. Yeah? Naruko asked. Then if your clones don't like you, what does that say about you? Kaguya smirked. Naruko rolled her eyes, but before she could reply, Smith grabbed another slice of toast. I'm leaving before I see something that might make me have to perform a suitability test. And then I'd have so much more work to do if you failed it at such short notice. She left, draining her coffee and grabbing the last slice of toast. Apparently she too is lacking manners, Kaguya snorted. Sunglasses must be almost as common as you, servant. You're still sore about the face paint, aren't you? Naruko dodged a bunny missile. And apparently so are your minions. To touch the face of a noble. Kaguya huffed, one should know their place. You are fortunate I don't have my powers. Such a crime would deserve the harshest punishment. While you think of one, I'm going to check on Shishi, Naruko said, glancing at Kaguya, who continued eating her salad slowly. Such vulgarity, the rabbit goddess scoffed. It's her name, Naruko called. It's not like I'm going around calling her anything rude. Such language. Kaguya looked away. Do you not know how to speak in the presence of a lady? Naruko frowned. Come to think of it, Sakura-chan did always hit me. I guess I don't know. Well, Kaguya smirked. You are fortunate to have such a forgiving and generous master, who shall teach you the error of your ways. I'm going to check on Shishi. Naruko left. Anything my clones learn will be transferred to me, so it's fine if they see. I see. Kaguya turned to the clone. I wonder if etiquette can truly be hammered into that tiny brain of yours. A short 2-hour lecture should do the trick. You traitor! The clone yelled after the fleeing Naruko. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, Naruko called back as she headed toward Shishi's room. Be careful. Kaguya may be the only way home, Kurama warned her. Try not to upset her too much. I know, Naruko sighed. If Shishi never regains her confidence, I might need Kaguya to teach her, which means putting up with the goddess a bit longer. But maybe she'll lighten up. She did just stop trying to end the world less than a day ago. In her defense? She was trying to destroy everything. How can you defend her? Oh, who am I kidding? This is you we're talking about. Everyone you beat somehow becomes good. Though, I don't see it happening with her anytime soon. She's just scared, Naruko reminded herself as she paused outside Shishi's door. Maybe that's what it's like for Shishi too. Sent away from her family to live with strangers. Shishi? Naruko called softly as she knocked. Enter, came the quiet reply. Naruko pushed open the door. Wow, Miss Smith's team really made this place. Impressive. Shishi's room had the neat furnishings of a hotel room, including a large flat-screen TV. But instead of a bed, there was a hammock, and Shishi lay gently swaying in it. Books were neatly stacked on the desk, and several outfits hung in the closet, each perfectly arranged. I apologize for leaving earlier, but I was emotionally distraught by Agent Smith's decision, Shishi said softly. I thought I might hinder my future career prospects. What do you want to do? Naruko asked as she walked over to the desk. These are all books on laws and procedures, Shishi explained. I want to be a police officer. A police officer? Naruko's eyes widened. Like the local officers here? Yes, Shishi nodded. I need to be calm and collected at all times. People can be infuriating or unreasonable, and I must remain professional. This training is helping me prepare for my job. Infuriating and unreasonable? Naruko tilted her head. Yes. Some humans fear liminals like me. Some even act aggressively. One day, they set fire to a neighbor's house while they slept. Shishi shivered. Did everyone get out safely? Naruko asked, concerned. Yes, thanks to a human, Shishi smiled softly. While others watched, he ran into the burning house and saved them. When I asked why he wasn't afraid of us, he said, because I am a police officer, and we help everyone. That's when I realized. I want to show humans that liminals are not monsters, and inspire others like me to follow their dreams. Naruko smiled warmly. I see. You're brave, Shishi. Shishi nodded. And I'll need to be strong, physically and mentally. That's why I trained and got these books. Agent Smith promised to find me a suitable handler even after my application was blocked. Naruko grinned. And I'm going to help you. When I'm done, you'll be the best police officer ever. How? Shishi asked, curious. Well, I might not be great with books, but I'm really good at practical work. I'll make a training course just for you. Naruko's eyes sparkled. We'll simulate a busy town, you'll know who needs help and who's just part of the scenery. But how will I know which is which? Shishi asked. You'll see, Naruko winked. I have a few surprises planned. I'll have my clones change their appearances so they all look different and give you the details of the mischievous prankster. You have to find her and figure out what she's planning. I already told you that I am a skilled tracker, Shishi said firmly. Well then, why not make it fun? Naruko smiled, her bright eyes twinkling. Since you're so confident, let's make a bet. If you complete the training challenge, I'll help you in the only other way I can, by helping you find a mentor who can guide you. But if you don't complete it, then you'll have to promise to learn something new and let go of being so strict with the rules. Deal, Shishi nodded. I look forward to seeing your request for my mentor. Naruko grinned. Hee hee, don't get your hopes up just yet. You're going to be seeing my face for a while. Possibly, Shishi said politely, bowing her head. If you don't mind, I'd like to stretch a little before the exercise, as the academy guidelines suggest. You love your rules, Naruko chuckled, leaving Shishi to her stretches. I didn't see that coming, Kurama's voice murmured in her mind. What? Naruko asked. Another heartfelt story. You could give up, but the moment you saw her determination, there was no way you could ignore helping her, right? Am I that predictable? You might be the most unpredictable ninja, but the most dependable hero in history. I'll take it. Hero sounds better than trickster. Naruko shook her head softly and stepped out of the house, passing the kitchen with a playful skip. Some time later, in the grand hall of Kaguya's manor. And this is a dessert spoon, Kaguya said, placing it carefully on the table. And this is a carving knife. Does it really matter? The clone protested. Does it matter? Kaguya echoed, incredulous. Without my guidance, you would probably fumble entirely. One's worth is shown in how one acts. Be grateful that I take the time to teach you. The clone's eyes darted around. Oh look, it's Shishi. Are you here to learn something? Kaguya asked, glancing at Shishi, who was wearing her jogging outfit that doubled as a casual skirt. I am training with Naruko, Shishi replied simply. If I pass her challenge, she promised to help me find a new mentor. Then you will probably be here for a while, Kaguya said, amused. Back when I was a goddess, even I could not stop her. You will find it even trickier. Later, Kaguya sat quietly at the kitchen table, watching a small rabbit nibble on some leftover salad. People of noble blood often find themselves standing alone, she said softly. The rabbit twitched its nose, and Kaguya stroked its head. Your life must be simple, unburdened by duty. Even before I was a goddess, so much was expected of me. Now, I often feel like a failure. Yet, I see potential in those who are determined and kind-hearted, like Naruko. The rabbit nudged her gently. Kaguya smiled faintly. Her heart is full of courage. She doesn't mean harm, she just acts with joy and curiosity. That is a gift the world needs. The rabbit hopped down from the table, and Kaguya shook her head, a soft smile on her lips. Yes. Maybe there is hope yet, for the world, and for those of us who guide it. Naruko, outside, practiced her skills, laughing as her clones darted in different directions, each slightly different from the other. Even in a world filled with rules and lessons, she knew one thing: kindness, cleverness, and a little fun could change everything. Still so sure you're going to win? Naruko glanced at Shishi, who was frozen in surprise. When you said you could make thousands, I thought you were joking, Shishi said, raising an eyebrow. There must be at least 3,000. I don't know, never really tried to count, Naruko shrugged with a cheerful grin. Shishi's eyes returned to the forest where Naruko had been waiting. I wanted to try and use an earth jutsu to make big building-shaped obstacles, but earth isn't really my element, Naruko said with a little sigh. I mean, I can kind of use it, but I don't really know any proper earth jutsu. Jutsu? Techniques, like the cage bunshine, Naruko explained. May I ask you a question? I am definitely human. May I ask a different question? Oh sure. Are you sure you are human? Yes, Naruko chuckled. So? Shishi's look of shock slowly faded. What is the task? One of the clones will be playing the trickster, and it's your job to find her. She'll be holding these bells and wandering around in the forest among the other clones. Your goal is to catch her and bring back the bells safely. Simple, right? Naruko jingled a pair of small bells. When I found these in that barn with the paint, I knew I had to use them. I feel like Kakashi-sensei right now. Sure, Shishi nodded. Even with so many people, I'm confident I can find one clone. But be warned, Naruko added with a playful smirk. If she manages to reach a secret hideout I built in the forest, then you lose, unless you track her there before she gets back with the bells. But that's tricky. Suddenly, one of the clones snatched the bells from her hand and dashed away. Officer! I've been robbed. Naruko called out dramatically. Try and catch me if you can. The clone, disguised as Yahiko, twirled and ran, slipping the bells into her pocket. What? Shishi gasped but quickly leapt into action, her movements agile and precise. While she was fast, the clone was no ordinary person, and the forest was full of Naruko's playful duplicates. Excuse me, Shishi said politely as she tried to weave through the clones. Hey, watch it, one snapped. I'm sorry, but, Shishi tried to squeeze past. Ah, One-sama. Your legs are strange. Can I touch them? A tiny clone asked innocently. I'm in pursuit of a criminal, Shishi said firmly, scanning the crowd until a flash of bright orange hair caught her eye. Got you. She leapt toward the clone. Only to blink at the wrong face. Nope, not her. Can I help you, Officer? The clone smiled politely. No, thank you, Shishi muttered, annoyed but determined. Where did she go? She leapt onto a tree branch and scanned the forest from above. Unlucky, Naruko's voice echoed playfully through the trees, and all the clones disappeared in a shimmer of light. I lost? Shishi sighed as she returned to Naruko, where the Yahiko clone was spinning the bells like a toy. Well? Naruko asked with a grin. Did you think it would be easy and that's why you didn't use your tricks? I can't, Shishi said, frowning. Long leg type arachne don't spin webs. Oh, I didn't know that, Naruko chuckled. I just assumed. Sorry if that was insensitive. It's not your fault. If anything, it's Agent Smith's for assigning me without the right information, Shishi replied softly. Criticizing a coordinator? Isn't that against the rules? Naruko gasped in mock shock. I'm allowed where necessary, Shishi said, though she seemed slightly embarrassed. Well, Naruko said, rubbing her head, I guess that means you lost this round. But let's try something different this time. She gestured to a clone. Now the clone will pretend to hold several others hostage. Your goal is to free them safely and gently, using clever thinking, not force. Right, Shishi nodded eagerly. Huh, she seems really fired up. Maybe it's the bet, Naruko thought, grinning. Or maybe I'm an awesome teacher who inspires students. Probably the bet, she sighed. Ready? Naruko asked. Yes. Shishi nodded. Sir. The Yahiko clone reported with a sloppy salute. We have an update. The target is half a kilometer inside the forest. She has black hair and a mischievous smile. She's holding the other clones. Understood, Naruko said. Officer, are you ready? Yes, sir. Shishi saluted, her eyes shining with determination. This was her element, cleverness, agility, and patience. She reminded herself, the goal wasn't to win by luck, but to succeed by using her mind, her heart, and her courage. Back at the house. Kaguya glanced at the clock as she sat in the kitchen, her fingers tapping lightly on the wooden table. She waited for Naruko to return. How long can it possibly take to train a vulgar spider? She muttered, pausing mid-thought. I don't even know what they are doing, but it shouldn't take this long. Rising from her chair, she let out a small sigh. Who knows what that mischievous servant of mine is up to? Probably got distracted by some lost little creature and is now trying to carry it somewhere. She giggled at the image of Naruko cradling a tiny fox. I wonder why a fox came to mind first? Her attention shifted to the floor, where a pair of curious rabbits nudged her gently. You are correct, Kaguya said, smiling softly. No doubt she got caught in a little adventure and might need my help. She should be grateful to have such a kind master. She stepped toward the door, a small trail of rabbits following her. This isn't an unpleasant place to live, Kaguya murmured, surveying the golden fields. Perhaps in a year or so, it could become a place worthy of someone like me. She straightened her posture with a tiny huff. Funny. As a princess, I used to have 100 servants, all trained to perfection. Now I have one who would probably trip over her own shadow. Despite the scowl on her face, her eyes twinkled with amusement. Kaguya followed the sound of movement, assuming correctly it would lead her to Naruko. What she saw made her eyebrows nearly leap into her hairline. So much wasted energy, she muttered as a cloud of what had to be over 1,000 cheerful clones bounded toward her. Oh. It's the bunny princess. One of the clones waved. Hi, Kaguya-chan. That's Kaguya-sama to you, she corrected, arching an eyebrow. Yeah, the clones waved her off. What are you doing here? I am here to speak with the real you. Oh, she's in the forest with Shishi, another clone pointed toward the trees. Do not use such informal words in the presence of nobility, Kaguya scolded. What words? Shishi? Then we'll stop saying Shishi if that's what you wish. The clones chimed together. Kaguya rubbed her forehead, sighing. I would give anything for a bit of my chakra right about now. The clones giggled nervously. Well, we should get back to work. Boss wants a training room in that corner. So she's decided to stop ignoring me? Kaguya asked, preening herself. Well, she said if she did, you would complain too much. We're trying to keep you happy. I see, Kaguya said, a sly smile forming. Finally, a bit of respect for my noble presence. Not really, the clones murmured. She just doesn't want to make you hopping mad. Kaguya's glare spoke louder than words, sending the clones scurrying. She shook her head and headed toward the forest, determined to find Naruko. With Shishi. As Shishi crept toward the spot the clones had mentioned, she tried to remain unseen. Among the bushes, she spotted someone who looked like Naruko, tangled in a mess of vines, or so it seemed at first glance. A clone, disguised in playful mischief, hopped near the others. Shishi had to carefully navigate the area to ensure everyone stayed safe while still figuring out the real Naruko. Her mind raced as she remembered all the rules for interacting with magical beings. Just then, a small voice rang out. For what it's worth, Naruko called from a tree, her golden hair shimmering in the sunlight. A real human isn't quite as fragile as you might think. She leapt gracefully from branch to branch, landing softly on the forest floor. For example, I survived that time I fell into the river during training. Shishi blinked. You survived? That? Naruko nodded, grinning widely. I'm pretty tough. Just ask Kaguya-sama. Shishi narrowed her eyes, impressed despite herself. Alright. Let's see if I can catch you, then. Catch me? Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. Yes. Unlike my clones, I won't disappear so easily. Here's the challenge, I'll dash into the forest, and you have 1 hour to catch me. If you catch me, you win. If I return here first, I win. Shishi squared her shoulders. Giving up is not an option. Perfect, Naruko said with a playful bow. On the count of 3? 1. Shishi crouched, legs ready. 2. Naruko twirled a leaf in her hand, a sly grin on her face. 3. With a burst of speed, Naruko sprinted into the forest, leaping over roots and ducking under branches. Shishi followed, matching her pace, weaving through the trees like a shadow. Naruko glanced back, laughing. You're fast. But not fast enough. Shishi narrowed her eyes, determination shining. Once I have you in my sights, you won't escape. Naruko giggled, darting through the canopy. We'll see about that. Below them, Kaguya watched from the edge of the forest, a small army of rabbits following her. How amusing, she whispered, eyes twinkling. Even a servant can be clever when she wants to. The chase continued, filled with laughter, clever tricks, and playful competition, a dance of agility and wit beneath the golden sunlight, where every moment was an adventure waiting to be discovered. Ah! Naruko settled into a meditative pose. Might as well pass the time, she murmured, letting the natural energies of the forest flow through her. Even if no one else here has chakra, this world still hums with life. A small smile curved her lips as she felt the strange energy, familiar yet somehow new. Countless life forms stirred around her, tiny creatures hidden among the leaves and trees. This is one busy little forest, she whispered, extending her senses as the wind rustled the branches. Time seemed to drift by until a familiar voice interrupted her calm. Your hour's up. If you want to keep meditating, don't let me stop you. But remember, there's no toad with a staff to rescue you here. Naruko's eyes widened. The toads, she exclaimed. They could reverse summon me back home. Maybe, Kurama replied skeptically. But the chakra required would be enormous. I doubt it could be done. Well, it's worth a try. Naruko grinned. Now? I suppose it can wait until we finish this test, she said, glancing toward the forest. Do you think she's done yet? I suspect so. Before Naruko could react further, the sound of rapid movement echoed through the undergrowth. She's being loud, Naruko muttered instinctively, rolling forward and sprinting as Shishi burst into view. Every time Naruko tried to change direction, Shishi leapt in front of her, guiding her along a path she controlled. What is she planning? Naruko wondered, keeping her distance. She only had an hour to prepare. And she's not even chasing me like usual? Across the forest floor, Naruko watched Shishi's movements carefully. Just a little longer, Shishi whispered, smiling. No matter which direction she jumps, I have to time it perfectly to catch her mid-air. Naruko's grin widened. She won't give up easily. I can tell from her eyes. Near the edge of the forest, Naruko spotted a patch of bramble bushes. Almost home free, she thought. Here we go, Shishi prepared herself. Naruko leapt over the bushes, then froze as she felt something tug at her leg. She looked down to see a tripwire shaking a cluster of beehives. Not today, she cried, leaping backward just in time to avoid the buzzing guardians. Shishi saw her chance and dove at Naruko, but the agile girl twisted midair, narrowly avoiding a capture. Mission accomplished, Shishi declared, though her landing sent her tumbling toward the nearby lake. A sudden golden limb appeared, holding her safely above the water. Naruko stood atop the lake, glowing with her chakra. How? Shishi blinked, amazed. Chakra, Naruko explained. It's natural energy that powers my abilities. It can even let me walk on water. Thank you, Shishi said, catching her breath. I wouldn't have drowned, but being underwater feels like I can't breathe at all. Wait. You breathe through your skin? Naruko asked in surprise. Through my abdomen, yes. So while I won't drown, it feels like the water is closing in from all sides, Shishi explained. Before Naruko could comment further, Kaguya appeared from the trees, her kimono slightly rumpled. Oh, hi Kaguya-chan. Kaguya-sama, the former goddess corrected, brushing herself off. You shall address me properly. Whatever you say, Kaguya-sama-chan, Naruko teased lightly. Kaguya's expression hardened. I have just one question. Why? Why are you wasting your chakra? She demanded, pointing at Naruko's golden aura. Oh, this? Naruko laughed. Shishi and I were about to fall in the lake, so I used my chakra to keep us dry. Kaguya raised an eyebrow. You wasted your energy. To avoid getting wet? Well, when you put it that way. Naruko muttered, shrugging. Kaguya shook her head. Your priorities never cease to amuse me. Naruko smiled, then turned to Shishi. I suppose this is goodbye for now? You are leaving? Shishi asked, frowning softly. Well. Hopefully, Naruko said. Though since you captured me, I may need to write a letter for you to get a new handler. Shishi's brow furrowed. I don't believe I won. You did better than you think, Naruko reassured her. Rules are rules, if you captured me, you stay with me. But we could travel far away, Naruko added cautiously. There is no limit on the reach of the law, Shishi replied firmly. Kaguya glanced between them. A little help? Naruko groaned, rolling her eyes. Oh, gracious Kaguya-sama, please. No, Kaguya said with a small smile, refusing. Fine, then, Naruko muttered, determination flashing in her eyes. She bit her thumb and called out, Kushios no Jutsu. A burst of smoke swirled around her. When it cleared, a new figure appeared, a green-skinned toad girl with a playful grin and a conductor's hat perched on her head. I ain't doing nothing, the toad girl spat. Call me Toph-sama from now on. This is my territory. Naruko laughed, stepping forward. Looks like we've got a new friend. And a whole new adventure waiting for us. The farm was unusually quiet, given the usual bustle of Naruko's clones working busily to repair the old barn. The three residents of the restored building stood staring at the new arrival, the toad girl Toph. A moment of stunned silence hung in the air as Naruko and her two friends looked at each other, unsure how to respond, until Naruko finally spoke. Hello? Naruko frowned, her bright golden cloak shimmering slightly. Her cubey sage eyes studied Toph curiously. And you should be, Toph said proudly, crossing her arms. I'm the boss around here now. Naruko tilted her head. You don't look like the other toads I've met before. You seem different. Mount what? Toph asked, frowning. Never heard of it. Naruko rubbed her chin, confused. I could have sworn my summoning jutsu worked correctly. What went wrong? Clearly, someone like you wouldn't understand my greatness, Kaguya said, puffing out her chest. Although I'll admit, your smoke cloud was quite impressive. Naruko chuckled nervously. Thanks. I think? Hey! Don't ignore me. Toph pointed at Naruko, tapping her foot impatiently. You respect the boss, got it? I wasn't ignoring you, Naruko said, raising her hands. I just want to understand how you got here. You said your name is Toph? I go wherever I want, Toph said with a grin. Without a handler? Shishi asked, frowning. Do you have the proper permissions? Permissions? Toph laughed. I don't need any permits. I make my own rules. Shishi gasped. You admit to breaking the law? Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Toph winked. Does it matter? Naruko quickly stepped between them. Okay. Let's slow down. No one's breaking any laws here, and no one's getting hurt. Let's start over. I'm Naruko, and these are Kaguya and Shishi. We live here. Now, Toph, why don't you tell us how you arrived? Toph crossed her arms. I just showed up. That's how I do things. Naruko blinked. Alright. Then maybe we can figure out a way for you to fit in without causing too much trouble? Toph's eyes sparkled. If you impress me, maybe I'll let you help me run things around here. Shishi gasped. You can't just. Don't worry, Naruko said with a smile. I think we can make this work. No need to argue. Toph grinned and crouched, ready to spring, but Naruko gently held out her hand. Let's turn this into a game instead. Whoever can do the silliest trick wins. Toph blinked. A game? Yes, Naruko nodded. No fighting, no rules broken, just fun. Think you can handle that? Toph's grin widened, and she gave a mock salute. You're on, Goldilocks. Naruko laughed. Just call me Naruko. And fair warning. I'm very good at silly tricks. And so, the quiet farm filled with laughter and playful chaos as Naruko, Toph, Kaguya, and Shishi spent the afternoon testing who could hop the highest, spin the fastest, and make the silliest faces. For once, everyone forgot about arguments or rules, they were simply enjoying each other's company. By the time the sun dipped behind the horizon, the barn was alive with joy. Toph flopped onto a haystack, puffing happily. Okay. Maybe this isn't so bad after all. You're all right, Naruko. Naruko smiled warmly. And you're welcome to stay. As long as you promise to keep it fun. Toph nodded. Deal. But don't think I'm giving up my title as boss just yet. Everyone laughed, and for the first time in a long while, the farm felt like a true home. Oh right. Sorry, Naruko laughed softly before looking down at Toph. So, you said you had surrendered, right? Eh? What kind of a liminal are you? Toph frowned, squinting at her. Wait. Your eyes. She stopped struggling for a moment, noticing the familiar toad-like shimmer in Naruko's eyes. Are you? Like me? I'm human, Naruko said gently, relaxing her stance. But I have a little connection with toads. Ha, Toph muttered, not fully understanding, but she nodded and accepted the explanation. Now, Naruko said with a soft smile, are you going to settle down and talk, or do I have to keep you held like this? TCH, Toph turned away. I'll talk, but on one condition. Oh? That copper has to apologize for calling me a frog. I'm no slimy frog. I'm a toad-type bullywug. Naruko glanced at Shishi. Well? You want me to apologize to this delinquent? Shishi frowned. Isn't there a rule about treating other liminals with respect? Naruko reminded her. Well yes. But that's only for members of the exchange program. She is a mischief maker. Then how about the part about listening to your handler? Shishi hesitated, then bowed her head slightly. You are correct, of course. Go on then, Toph said, smirking. Sorry, Shishi muttered, scowling. For calling you a frog. You are a delinquent, yes, but I should treat you with respect. That'll do, Toph said, relaxing as Naruko released her and helped her to her feet. I apologize sincerely for my conduct, Shishi said, bowing to Naruko. As an exchange student, I should behave in a way that does not reflect poorly on my handler. I fully understand if you wish to report my actions to Agent Smith. Don't worry about it, Naruko said with a kind smile. You are very kind, Handler-san, Shishi said quietly. Geez, get that weepy act out of here, Toph snorted. Did you say something? Shishi narrowed her 6 eyes. What? All those donuts affecting your hearing, Copper? Toph teased. Do you need me to speak louder? Clearly, you've taken too many bumps in your delinquent adventures. It's affecting your thinking, Shishi muttered. It appears the mischievous duo are causing trouble again, Kaguya yawned from the doorway. I am heading home. I expected failure, but you've outdone yourselves this time. Truly, what a waste of effort. Hey, Naruko said, standing tall. At least I'm trying to find a way back home instead of sitting around acting all high and mighty. Kaguya paused, frowning. Maybe I was a bit too harsh with my words, she murmured, turning to leave with a small, almost shy, frown. That's probably as close to an apology as I'm going to get, Naruko sighed. Ugh, she's so icy, Toph muttered. Kaguya-san can be a little strict at times, Shishi said. If I were to identify an issue with her, it would be her lack of respect for you, Handler-san, which is against the exchange rules. Well, she has her reasons, I guess, Naruko said with a shrug. I might be part of the reason she's trapped here, without powers, and missing an arm. I don't even want to know, Shishi said. Still, she should respect you. She'll warm up, Naruko said softly. Maybe she's just experiencing culture shock. Time will help. If you're sure, Shishi said, dropping the subject reluctantly. Stuck-up types like that really get on my nerves, Toph snorted. Say, Toph, if I didn't summon you, How did you get here? Naruko asked curiously. She leapt into the smoke while everyone was distracted, Kurama informed her. She came from the direction of the road. Wait, you knew she wasn't summoned? Why didn't you tell me? I tried, but you were too busy wasting chakra. Oh no, I'm turning into the bunny hag. Naruko shook her head with a soft smile as Toph prepared to tell her story. Hey, Toph said, gazing into the distance. It was an epic adventure. There I was, armed only with my bukan against a small army of ogres and zombie-like creatures. They tried to crush me, but I held my own until one coward knocked me out from behind. Then, as they transported me in a heavily guarded convoy, I woke up, broke free, and escaped. Really? Naruko raised an eyebrow. Yeah, and then? Toph trailed off as a large, rattling vehicle approached. The back door swung open, and a familiar figure stepped out with a cheerful smile. What's all that noise? Kaguya sighed, appearing behind them. Sunglasses is here? It must be close to mealtime. A large armored figure followed Miss Smith from the truck. Him, Kaguya muttered, grinding her teeth. The uncultured oaf who threw me over his shoulder like a sack of food. I'm not cooking right now, Naruko said dryly as Miss Smith and Tio approached. Now, Miss Smith smiled. I'm here on official business. I see you've met Nectarfree-chan. Naruko's eyes widened as she realized, so that armored convoy you escaped from. Yes, Toph glared at Tio. This time, you won't catch me by surprise. Surprise? Miss Smith asked, pointing at the toad girl held in Tio's gentle hug. Hey. Let me go. Toph squirmed. Don't fight, Tio, Miss Smith said softly. We can't have her running away again. An army of ogres, huh? Shishi said, eyeing the panting Toph. As expected, you were exaggerating. Probably no zombies at all. Oh, there was one, Miss Smith nodded. It seemed like more, Toph muttered weakly. So, why are you really here, if not for food? Naruko asked. Well, Miss Smith said, smiling warmly, I'd like to tell you, but my throat is so parched. As a good host, you'll offer me some tea while I talk, won't you? Naruko, Kaguya, and Shishi shared a glance and silently agreed. All right, Naruko said, motioning toward the house. Let's head back, and you can tell me everything. If you insist, Miss Smith said with a cheerful nod. A few moments later. The gang were all seated around a table in Naruko's dining area. As with most of the rooms, this large meeting space was mostly plain, with very little decoration. A big table stretched across the room, clearly designed with taller liminals in mind, though Shishi had no trouble fitting comfortably. Toph had easily leapt onto her chair opposite the spider girl, but Kaguya needed Naruko's help to climb into one of the slightly taller chairs, which left her feeling embarrassed. Kaguya scowled. It was humiliating enough that she needed assistance, but to make matters worse, she had been given a pair of chopsticks that refused to cooperate with her one-handed efforts. After watching her nearly spill her drink, Naruko decided she needed to step in. Do you need a hand? Naruko offered gently. I do not require help for such a simple task, Kaguya snapped, continuing to struggle. If I had my full power, I could create my own chopsticks. And yet here I am, at the mercy of a tiny piece of wood. She glanced down at her loose kimono sleeve, where her arm should have been if not for a certain blonde, or rather, in this case, blonde-haired girl, who had torn it away. Frustration and helplessness bubbled up, only worsened when Naruko took the chopsticks from her and neatly separated them. We don't have to be enemies, Naruko said, offering the chopsticks back. Do not flatter yourself, Kaguya retorted, rejecting them with a flick of her wrist. Pride wounded, she turned to the only weapon left at her disposal, scorn. You are not important enough to earn the title of enemy. Would you call the gnat buzzing in your ear an enemy? Naruko bit back a retort. I need her to get back home. I can't lose focus now. She sighed and turned her attention to Smith, Shishi, and Toph. So, Naruko prompted, you were going to tell me the story behind Toph? There's no rush, Toph said, sipping her coffee with a satisfied hum. Ah, this is the stuff. She nodded at a cage bunshine who had poured her another cup. I don't suppose I could borrow one of these clones as a kind of helper? She gestured at the clone beside her. They seem very handy. Quite the impressive ability you have. It is, isn't it? Naruko grinned, pleased that someone appreciated her favorite technique. Careful, Naruko. Don't let a few compliments make you lose focus. She'll have you running errands all day if you're not careful. I'm not that weak to praise, Naruko rolled her eyes. Would you mind if I kept this clone? Wait, what? The clone blinked. She makes such a perfect cup of coffee, Miss Smith said, smiling as she took another sip. Oops, the clone muttered, dropping the hot coffee he had been holding, disappearing in an instant with a small poof. Idiot clones, Naruko groaned. Aren't the clones copies of you? Kaguya asked, sipping her carrot juice as her bunnies edged around her cautiously. Yes, and? So wouldn't that make you an idiot too? Well, how does it feel to have been sealed away by an idiot? Kaguya opened her mouth, then shut it several times, unable to find a comeback. Agent Smith, she cleared her throat, may I ask a question? Of course, Smith replied, grateful for the distraction. The tense atmosphere was making her appetite fade, though not enough to skip a free meal. Well, she said, glancing at Toph, this criminal is clearly a threat to any possible host. What is the plan regarding her deportation? I ain't going anywhere, Toph declared. You are a criminal and should be sent away, she said. Preferably to a place where you belong. There's no place that can hold me. Toph boasted. Usually, Smith said, chuckling softly, the offender would be transferred to a secure location until arrangements could be made with her homeland. Then she would be sent home as soon as possible. A few political hoops usually need clearing as well. I'd be happy to assist in any way I can to see this delinquent return safely, she added. Fight me. Toph slammed her palms on the table. What a lively household, Smith laughed. Where's your friend? Naruko gestured toward the tall figure accompanying Miss Smith. Oh, Tio? I thought it'd be rude to have her wear all that armor while eating. Naruko frowned. I'm not sure what kind of food she likes. Miss Smith smiled knowingly. Normal food will do, but if you can make a sweet dessert, Tio will probably enjoy it. Okay, Naruko said to her group of clones busy in the kitchen. Food will be ready soon. You were going to tell us why you're here, right? Oh right, Smith nodded. I was on my way here with Tio and Nectarfree-chan. Earlier in the transport. Let me go. You can't keep me caged, Toph shouted, wriggling against the chains that attached her handcuffs to the van floor. She sat on a bench in the back, squirming with all her might. Beside her, Tio, fully armored, kept one hand on Toph's shoulder to prevent her escape. Opposite them, Miss Smith sipped her coffee and reviewed files. You've been arrested for attacking your handler and trying to take over her house, Smith said, raising an eyebrow. You're lucky you're not in a straitjacket. You're a real handful. Bite me, Toph spat. At least give me my bouquin. I don't think so, Smith sighed. Do you know how much trouble you caused one of my team members? She could have dodged. Toph protested. Not my fault your lackeys lack self-preservation instincts. Zombina-chan is a special case, Tio added gently. Besides, Toph continued, I was completely justified. Someone called me a frog. Like I'd put up with that. Your handler didn't mean it as an insult, Tio tried to calm her. Like I care, Toph yelled, squirming. Do I look like a slimy frog? Why are they called bullywugs anyway? Shouldn't they be frog types if I'm a toad type? Please stop struggling, Tio said softly. Why? So they can send me to jail or kick me out? Not a chance. Fight me. If her bouquin hadn't gotten stuck earlier, she would have kicked them all, she thought angrily. Toph's body began to emit a faint slippery toxin from the bumps on her neck as she focused, preparing for another attempt to escape. Taking advantage of the distraction, she rubbed the toxin onto her handcuffs, letting them slide off. Before Smith and Tio could react, she leapt to her feet, launched herself toward the back door, and kicked it open. Catch you later, Toph shouted. She pointed at Tio and leapt clear of the van. She got away, Tio sighed. I might have to take the refresher course now, Smith muttered, smiling. Unless. Smith-san? Naruko's clones. We're close to the farm, she can find her. Quickly. Smith banged on the partition. My free time depends on it. With Toph. The amazing Toph-sama does it again. Sticking it to the man against impossible odds. Toph smirked as she hopped into the forest. I can hang out around here for a while. No one will find me, and there are bound to be plenty of grubs and berries and such to eat. She nodded as she sat down on a tree stump. What is this? Sap? She frowned at a sticky substance clinging to her hand. There was a soft rustle in the grass behind her, and she felt watchful eyes on her. Who's there? Come out. Toph started, then froze. Wait. Maybe it's not a threat. Out of the bushes stepped a girl with spiky blonde hair tied in two playful pigtails. Her bright blue eyes sparkled with energy, and her orange outfit seemed to glow in the sunlight. "Hi there," she said cheerfully. "I'm Naruko. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight." Toph squinted. "Not here to fight, huh? You look tricky." She tapped the stump with her fingers. Naruko laughed and jumped onto a nearby rock. "I like adventures. And I like helping people. I heard there might be someone in trouble in these woods." Toph studied her for a moment. This one's brave, maybe even clever. Could be useful." She smirked. "Well, I might need a sidekick to help me with some forest patrols. Think you can handle it?" Naruko nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. Let's go find some fun." Back to the present. "And you all know what happened after that," Toph said, crossing her arms and pouting slightly. "So, you're an escaped mischief maker who has already caused chaos," Shishi said, standing suddenly. "I cannot allow this troublemaker to endanger anyone." "It's not your choice," Smith said calmly. Shishi looked at Naruko. "Surely you cannot be thinking of letting this delinquent into our home?" Naruko tilted her head, looking thoughtful. "I promise I'll behave. Mostly." "You are incredibly bold for someone so young," Shishi muttered, trying to hide a frown. "Bold is my middle name." Naruko grinned. "Well, it would be if I had a middle name. But you get the idea." Naruto stepped forward. "It's okay, Shishi. She's harmless. And honestly, she's pretty fun once you get to know her." Naruko bounced on her heels. "See? I'm fun. I can help, I can explore, I can." "Enough," Shishi exclaimed, though her frown softened slightly. Fine, Toph said with a huff. "If she keeps out of my way, I'll keep out of hers. Deal?" Naruko and Shishi exchanged cautious glances. "Deal," Shishi murmured. Naruto smiled warmly. "Welcome to the farm, Naruko." "Yay. Thanks, boss." Naruko cheered, spinning around happily. Toph rolled her eyes. "Boss? Seriously? Hey. Fine, I'll play along. For now." Later, in the dining room. Dessert was served, and the room buzzed with activity. Tio, the gentle giantess, carefully carried her small bunnies, smiling softly. Naruko darted between Toph and the others, giggling as she tasted tiny cakes from the tray. "These are adorable," Naruko exclaimed. "Look at this one, it even looks like a little bunny." Kaguya observed silently, intrigued despite herself. "This girl. She has a spirit that could charm even the hardest hearts." Naruko plopped down beside Toph, offering her a cake. "Try it. You might like it." Toph snatched it and took a big bite. Not bad." She gave Naruko a nod of approval. Naruto watched them, smiling. "It's chaotic, but it feels like home." Kurama purred softly. "She has a knack for making people feel lighter." Naruko, with crumbs on her cheeks and a gleam in her eyes, looked around the table. "I think I'm going to like it here. We've got adventures, treats, and even a little bit of trouble. Perfect." Shishi blinked, unsure how to respond to such boundless energy. Toph smirked. "Looks like we've got a new team member. Just hope she can keep up with me." Naruko grinned. Challenge accepted. And so, the forest adventurer and the clever troublemaker began a new chapter, one filled with laughter, friendship, and plenty of little cakes. "Don't listen to her," Naruko said, shooting a warning look at Kaguya. "What did I do?" Kaguya asked, her expression twisting in a mix of confusion and frustration. She quickly hid any trace of emotion. She wasn't used to anyone speaking to her so boldly. Despite being Naruko's prisoner after a recent misunderstanding, she wasn't truly part of her world anymore. "The meal was satisfactory," Kaguya said suddenly, standing from the table. "I shall retire." "Don't you want to chat with Miss Smith?" Naruko asked curiously. "I have neither the need nor desire to converse with those below my station any further," Kaguya replied sharply, and then left the room. Naruko blinked. Okay?" She shrugged and returned to her food, sharing an awkward silence with the others. The only exception was Tio, who happily savored her slice of cake, enjoying every bite with a little hum of delight. "So," Shishi began, clearing her throat, "I was wondering what agency you're a part of," she asked Tio, eyeing the unusual armor she wore. "Me?" Tio blinked. "That armor doesn't look like normal civilian clothes," Shishi continued. "I've studied protective gear, and I've never seen anything like it. Well, being part of MOAN has its perks, Smith said with a smile. MOAN? Yes, Smith nodded. It stands for Monster Operations, Neutralization. It's a special team that helps when magical or unusual beings cause trouble. Normal officers can't handle these situations, so we have a team of experts to keep everyone safe. Why not just have magical beings in the regular police? Shishi asked. There's no rule against it, Smith said. But MOAN is special, they can act quickly and creatively without getting stuck in paperwork. Tio, along with Monaco, Doppel, and Zombina, make a small but very effective team. Shishi nodded, impressed. Thinking of joining them? No, Shishi shook her head. The work is secret, isn't it? I want to be a police officer where everyone can see me, to show that magical creatures aren't scary, they're just like everyone else. I want to inspire others to work hard and be understood. Naruko grinned. That's a noble goal. It'll take hard work, but you can do it. I'm ready for it, Shishi said firmly. Don't worry, Toph said, smirking. I'll help you train. We'll even have donuts as practice breaks. Shishi flushed, smiling politely. I appreciate your unique approach. Tio tilted her head. It's hard finding clothes that fit properly, especially when your size isn't standard. Naruko laughed. I know that feeling. Back home, I could only find tiny sweatsuits in my favorite orange color. Smith shook her head with a smile. I don't think that problem is as tricky as Tio's. Toph leaned forward. I don't get the fuss about looking cute. I'd rather wear something practical that lets me move freely. Looking good isn't the same as being impractical, Shishi said kindly. Tio shrugged, smiling warmly. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look nice. Feeling good in your outfit helps you face the world. Naruko nodded in agreement. It's about confidence, not size or shape. Toph puffed her cheeks in frustration but quickly calmed down under Tio's soothing presence. Naruko shook her head with a grin. Tio really is amazing. I wonder if she'd consider living here, it'd make things so much easier. Hey! Smith's sharp voice interrupted. What do you think you're doing? Eh? Naruko blinked. Trying to sneak Tio away? My job would be so much harder without her keeping the team in line. Smith wagged a finger, though her expression softened as Tio smiled at her. Naruko laughed. She's a real treasure, isn't she? Yes, Tio said, blushing slightly. She's very kind. Come on, Smith-san, Naruko said with a playful roll of her eyes. You don't need to be so strict. Smith gave a small smile. I just have to make sure everything stays in order. That's my job. Naruko helped Tio carry her armor to the transport. Here, this is your bag, Tio said, handing a small, worn bag to Naruko. All your things? Naruko asked. Mostly personal stuff, Tio explained. Clothes, training gear, and a few keepsakes. Naruko nodded. We'll make sure you get some new clothes soon. A shopping trip is definitely in order. Smith looked up from talking to the driver. And supplies are running low. I can issue a permit so you can go into the city safely. Permit? Naruko raised an eyebrow. Yes, Smith said with a knowing smile. A little paperwork makes adventures safer. Naruko grinned, looking at Tio and the others. Well then, let's make this the start of something fun and exciting. Adventure awaits. The group shared a bright, hopeful laugh, ready for the next chapter of their story, together. You're technically hosting dangerous liminals, so you need special permission to go into an urban area with them, Smith frowned. But the permit is a pain to sort out. I could just take you and Kaguya shopping since you don't need a permit for her. I'll see what I can do, Smith waved dismissively. Thanks, Naruko stepped back and watched them get into the van and drive away. Another day over and done with. Hard to believe this is only the second day in this world, isn't it? Yeah. Handler-san, Shishi approached her. If it is okay, I shall retire for the night. Of course, Naruko smiled warmly. You don't need to ask me permission. Plus you can just call me Naruko, you know? That would not be showing you the respect you are due, as per article. I get it, Naruko shook her head. I guess I could ask you to call me Naruko, but if you don't want to I won't force it. Good night. She nodded to Shishi, who made her way to her room. So where am I sleeping, boss? Toph asked as Naruko walked back into the kitchen. Oh right, Naruko frowned. Well, there's only the one bedroom that I recently finished. I was going to take it myself, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to let Toph have it. If you keep this up, you'll fill all the rooms and still not have a bedroom. Still. At least it'll be lively. That's one way of looking at it, I suppose. Kurama chuckled. Ha, Toph walked into the indicated room. A little bear, isn't it, boss? Well, feel free to personalize it. Ha, Toph dived onto the bed. I missed a proper bed. Didn't you have one back at your old host's house? Nah, I didn't even have a futon, just some pillows and a blanket. Toph scowled. Never mind my own room. Here, Naruko handed over the sports bag. Tio said these are your things. Awesome. Toph snatched the bag and tossed its contents over the floor into a messy pile. There were several scuffed hats and trousers as well as rolls of bandages. Found it, Toph declared happily as she pulled a wooden practice sword from the heap and swung it through the air a few times. Good night, Naruko chuckled, shaking her head. I'll see you in the morning. Sure, boss. Toph tossed the empty bag on top of her pile as Naruko left the room. On her way back to the kitchen, she paused slightly outside Kaguya's door. Maybe I should say something to her. Like what? I don't know. Maybe ask if she's alright? Knowing her, she'd probably take that as pity and only get upset. Better leave her alone for now. Okay. Naruko carried on walking down the hallway, unaware of Kaguya's own turmoil. Part of Kaguya was ashamed of her actions. As a noble, she should have behaved with more dignity rather than leaving the room like a sulky child. She wasn't even sure why she had left. She rolled over in her bed as she heard Naruko walking downstairs. Once again, she gives up a warm bed for someone else. Kaguya frowned at the small group of bunnies atop her duvet. She always puts others ahead of herself, huh? What an idiot. She pondered. Is that why she annoys me so much? Is it because she always acts selfless, when I know she's human enough to have her own wants? Or maybe this kindness is her way of making up for herself. One of the rabbits twitched its nose. Or maybe she truly believes she's doing the right thing. Well, we'll see what the morning brings, Kaguya decided, looking out the window. I will apologize. It's my duty as a noble to help her grow into someone even better. She settled into bed. It won't be easy. But nothing worth doing ever is. Shishi's room. Kaguya wasn't the only one deep in thought. As Shishi lay in her hammock, wearing a long shirt specially designed for modesty and holding a book on famous police incidents, her mind wandered back to Naruko's earlier words. A human finding an arachne attractive. Shishi frowned softly. I never thought I'd hear that. Maybe some humans see past appearances. She smiled faintly. If there are more people like Naruko, perhaps this exchange program can show others liminals for who we are, not what we look like. She placed the book neatly on the table. A crashing noise came from next door, Toph's room. Maybe I'm just as guilty. I haven't really tried to get along with Toph. For Naruko's sake, I should make peace. Shishi clambered out of her hammock and knocked politely on Toph's door. What is it? Toph yelled. It's Shishi, she said softly. I want to apologize for my earlier behavior. Fine, come in, Toph grumbled. I just wanted to. Shishi froze. What happened here? Did someone break in before you moved in? Eh? Toph looked around. What's the problem? Your room is a mess. Shishi blinked. Clothes everywhere, drawers open, some even ripped. It looks fine to me, Toph frowned. Added character while I was training, but nothing serious. You did this? You've barely been here 12 minutes. Quite easily, Toph said, diving onto her bed. Shishi opened her mouth but could not find words. Weren't you going to apologize? Toph prompted.
I am sorry for acting hostile earlier, Shishi forced out.
But maybe clean the room a bit? Like hell I will, Toph snorted. It's my room, and Naruko said I can make it mine. But if you keep it like this, you'll attract rodents, and then it becomes everyone's problem. More like everyone else's problem, Toph shrugged. I wouldn't mind a rat pet. I'll leave before I say something I might regret. Shishi turned and left, her thoughts full of ways to improve as a future policewoman. She returned to her bed and read until sleep took her, her dreams filled with mischievous toads getting gently scolded by an imaginary Naruko. Tio's apartment. I'm home. Tio called as she entered her bright pink room, filled with plush animals on her princess-like bed. She picked up her phone to see a flashing red light. Oh. I wonder who called? It was someone from the office. She pressed redial and laid back on her bed, hugging a plushie as she waited. About time. Zombina's frustrated voice sounded. Don't you answer your mobile? This is my home phone, Tio pointed out. Ah, Smith-san must have entered your work number differently, Zombina groaned. Is something wrong? Yeah. I'm stuck at the office at 8:30. Zombina whined. Us? Monako and Doppel are here too, Zombina said. While we're working hard, you're having fun, aren't you? I bet there was a fight. Well, there was a fight, Tio tilted her head. There was? Zombina's voice was incredulous. Maybe because Smith-san is fed up with paperwork, Doppel teased. That's no excuse. You got to hug bunnies instead of fighting? There were cute bunnies, Tio smiled happily. I got to hug some. Eh? Zombina sounded confused. I didn't throw anything, Tio explained. Naruko returned and stopped the fight. I guess that's why it went smoothly, Monako said softly. Most definitely, Doppel teased. Did you see it come back? Too bad Smith-san wasn't there. Nope, Tio laughed. We just had a meal together and talked about clothes. Pretty fun. Dash. The scene closed with Naruko quietly preparing for the next day, her heart warm knowing she was surrounded by friends learning to accept each other's quirks, and even messy rooms could become part of the adventure. Maybe he liked sweets or cute things more than anything else, Doppel said with a teasing laugh. He was probably just trying to impress you. I don't think Naruko-san is that kind of person, Tio replied honestly. She seems genuinely kind and thoughtful. Oh? You know her that well, huh? Must have been quite a special lunch, Doppel teased. Tio puffed her cheeks out, even though Doppel couldn't see it. It wasn't like that. There was Smith-san and the toad-type bullywug, and also a long-legs-type arachne, and a bunny-type friend too, I think? Oh, that would be that Kaguya one, right? Doppel said, sounding a little disappointed that her teasing hadn't gotten much reaction. Right. Still. Do you think that handler is cute? Cute? Tio tilted her head thoughtfully. I guess. Maybe a little? He's nice looking, I suppose. Oh? Doppel perked up. So maybe you like him then. Tio laughed softly. Geez, we've only just met. He didn't even know I'm a girl until today. He seems nice enough, but I wouldn't say there are any feelings between us. How tragic, Doppel sighed dramatically. Goodbye, Doppel-chan, Tio said as she hung up and flopped onto her bed. She hugged her plush animal close, staring at the ceiling. Although, he did ask me to live with him a few times. Maybe he does like me? I should be kind if I have to say no. She nodded to herself and got up to take a warm shower before going to sleep, feeling a little flutter of excitement in her heart. Dash. At Moan's office. Aw. She hung up, Doppel sighed, handing the phone to Monako. Wait. Did you tell her to come here to help us? Zombina asked in surprise. Oh, right. That's why we called her in the first place. My bad, Doppel admitted. The three Moan girls stared at the intimidating stack of paperwork. It seems she really hung up. Maybe she didn't want to talk to me again, Monako said, frowning. Darn it all. Zombina groaned. Darn that Smith for setting this up, and darn that Tio for having a perfectly good reason not to be here. It's not like anyone can die from overworking, Doppel said calmly. It's me and Monako who should be complaining. Just because I can't die from exhaustion doesn't mean she can work me to the bone. I'm a zombie, not a skeleton. Zombina flopped in her chair dramatically. Oh. I just got a message from Smith-san, Monako said, checking her phone. Is it you can take tomorrow off as thanks? Zombina asked hopefully. Don't forget to submit the registration forms by midnight. Have fun, P. Monako read aloud. Smith. Zombina groaned in mock despair. Even amidst paperwork and teasing, there was a cheerful energy in the room, because friends, good intentions, and a little bit of playful chaos made every day brighter. Guys, that's all from me for now. Thank you for sticking around and following along. There's more to come, so stay tuned for updates, stories, and everything in between. Sending love and appreciation to each and every one of you. Warm regards. 6 Path Weeb.